Hi, this is Mike, your personal career coach. Welcome to the final part 5 of my series, Are You Sabotaging Your Job Search? So today we're going to talk about, are you sabotaging your job search with everything to do with the interview process? So in other words, are you preparing the right way? Are you executing on the interview the right way? And are you following up the right way? So let's get into it. Number one, I find a lot of people will make the mistake of not researching companies properly before they have an interview with them. So when I was a director at Credit Suisse, the first question I would ask somebody is, what is the difference between Credit Suisse and Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, whatever it happens to be? 99% of the time, the candidate couldn't tell me. So that to me is an immediate flag, and I'd pretty much shut down the interview at that point, or maybe I'd keep going to be respectful. But at that point, the interview was effectively shut down. If you don't do research and don't understand exactly what the value add of the company is that you're talking to, why should they talk to you? You're dating the company. When you go on a date, if I can remember that far back, you have to get to know them. Don't just do a one-page Google search to see what the headlines are. Go to the website, read their 5 most recent press releases. Take a look at the annual report and see what they're really stressing. Do some research and figure out, who are you potentially going to be working for? If you don't do the research, don't even go to the interview, because it'll show in one form or another. Number 2, I find that a lot of people blow themselves up because they don't ask the number one question, which you have to ask in the beginning of an interview. And that is, what am I interviewing for? What do you mean? So a lot of people read a job description or may have a preliminary conversation with somebody in the company and then go in for an interview. The problem is that the interviewer may not even be aware of that job description, or the job may have changed from the time that the job description was written. So yeah, I think you should look at job descriptions and certainly prepare yourself, because that's most likely what the job is. But in the very beginning of the conversation, even before you get into the tell me about yourself question, you want to ask basically what the job is. So in other words, let's assume I'm interviewing with Bob. Bob, more than happy to tell you about myself, but before we dig in, could you let me know whether the responsibilities of this position are different than what were described on the job description? So what you're merely putting on the table is, number 1, you prepared, but number 2, you want the most updated information possible, because that's what it's about. If your information's old, you're going to be pitching for the wrong job. Imagine you're going out on a date, again, going back to the dating analogy. You think you're dating somebody who likes yoga, but in reality, they hate to do anything athletic. So by asking the question in the beginning, something to the effect of, what are the responsibilities of this job? That gives you a blueprint. That gives you a direction to go in. That tells you where you have to then steer the conversation. And I can't tell you how many times my clients have gotten into situations where they've asked that question, found out that the job they were interviewing for was so much different than the job that they thought they were interviewing for. By asking the question, you'll realize that, and you can hopefully make adjustments during the course of your conversation. Number 3, I think that a lot of people blow themselves up in job search because they default to the Q&A type approach. Oh, if it's a half-hour interview, they'll ask me questions for 20 or 25 minutes, and then I'll get to ask them questions for the remaining, 5 or 10 minutes. That is the worst format of an interview possible. Nobody likes a Q&A. Nobody likes to grill you, and nobody likes to be grilled. The idea is to try to make it more of a conversation, try to make it more natural. I realize it's hard. You're nervous. Hell, they could be nervous. The whole interview process is completely artificial. But there are ways to sort of smooth things and have more of a dialogue. Let's assume they ask you how strong are your Python skills. Let's assume you answer it. Oh, I have intermediate Python skills. I know how to use numbers and PAMB and all of the other technical terms that I don't know because I don't know Python. You can answer the question and let them know what your skill set is, and then immediately turn around and ask them, well, Bob, could you tell me about how much Python I would be using on the job? So let's just pause there. Do you see what I did? I answered a question, but then I asked a question right afterward, which is enabling that person to give me the answer. So I created a circle, which is exactly what you want to do in this kind of a dialogue. So the more you can engage with them in a dialogue, the better it's going to be for everybody. And finally, are you following up with the people you interview with every single month? Now, I know what you're probably saying, Mike, I'm going to be a pain in the ass if I email this person every single month. Well, I would say that you want to follow up with these people. Even if you didn't get the job, you want to follow up. Why? Because they're human beings and they know about other jobs and they have friends, or other jobs could pop up in the company. You want to be able to keep up with them every single month, remind them of who you are, stay top of mind. But how do you do that without being a pain in the ass? Well, you send the obligatory thank you note and mention something specific about how you enjoyed the conversation and what you talked about. A month later, find an article in a publication you think that they might be interested in. Find something that they would value. So the idea is that you can keep up a monthly dialogue with someone, or attempt to keep up a monthly dialogue with someone, if you're providing them with value. Now, yeah, it gets tricky to figure out every month what you think this other person could value, whether it be an article, or even you can send them an email saying that you'd love to be able to help them find other talent because you know people that might be interested in working for them. So the idea is that you want to be able to try to maintain a relationship with this person, and trying to think of it as a two-way street, much like the interview process, is really going to help you. I know that takes discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to keep up with people on a monthly basis. But you'll be in their inbox, they'll see your name, even if they don't respond to you. And most likely they're not going to respond to you. They still see your name. They still see your name, they'll think of you, and if they see something out there that is good for you, then hopefully they'll let you know. Job search is all about staying in front of important people. And having had an interview with a company, my suggestion is you must stay in touch with every single person, including HR, to make sure that you stay top of mind. Well, thank you so much. This has been my last of my 5-part series on Are You Sabotaging Your Job Search? I look forward to more conversations with you.